It's Woody season, man. I'm back with the second episode. First episode we did with D the Fly. Shout out to my nigga D the Fly is doing his thing, man. That was a movie. Today we got Dr. Rufus with us. A lot to talk about. Race in America. A lot been going on during this pandemic that we need to really have a healthy discussion about, and it's a discussion that's needed. But during the pandemic, man, a nigga like me, man, I gotta be drinking some Don Julio Blanco. I'm really like a Neho Reposado ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with the 42, but there's no more 42s out here. Like niggas is acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like I know everybody got the stimulus, niggas getting the unemployments. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it. I'm getting the unemployment too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a working guy. I can't have a job right now due to, the pandemic and COVID-19, hopefully the world can open up so I can start, being a 9 to 5 nigga that I am, what I'm saying, and paying my taxes. But I can't get no 1942s out here. I can't get no a zoo out here. Like, niggas is really acting like they never had tequila before. Like, this shit is sold out in every liquor store in Boston. You can't have no fucking 1942. Like, it's just fucking crazy, man. But, shout out to the looters who was keeping niggas real fly during the pandemic, man. Like, there was one nigga that I know, I can't say his name, man. This nigga was out here like he wasn't looting, he was shopping, and this nigga had all the fly shit. I'm talking about like a Mary Jane's, like Givenchy, like this nigga's really gonna have niggas looking like some African scammers, man. Shout out to that nigga, man. But I'm not here to advocate looting because, that's not a type of shit that I'm in, even though you might see a nigga who probably look like me out there, but that was not me. I'm not with that, none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? But I will buy and I will purchase, DM me. I'm all for the shits, you know what I'm saying? So if you got some fly shit, let me know. But we got a great episode, man. George Floyd, R.I.P. I went to my first protest from Roxbury to I walked all the way to downtown. That was a different experience for me. It was cool. It felt like Memorial Day weekend in Miami, man. I haven't been outside in a long time, so that shit was an event for me, bro. Like I got my cardio in because you gotta really be in good shape to really protest because it's a lot of walking. You know what I'm saying? So, there was some hoes out there too. Like even the hoes that's really like a 3 or 4 was looking like solid 8s and 9s out there. Little asses looking real nice out there. Like a nigga haven't been out, so everything was looking good during the protests. Bitches got masks on, still looking good. Like it was different. It was different. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm gonna go to any more protests or whatever like that, but that was definitely my first one. Won't be my last one. Hopefully we don't have to keep marching and fighting for the same shit we've been fighting for years. Um I'm trying to be more aware. I'm trying to do things differently. Shout out to all the people out there who got their own business, who's starting up their own business. I'm in full support of that. So if you're doing your own shit, holla at me on the DM. Every Mondays I shout niggas out, business owners, and I'm shouting niggas out on the podcast, and I'm doing it for free. Nickel and dimes. I fuck with them heavy. Follow them, purchase. Fly shit only. Um, I love nickel and dimes gear. Stadium, shout out to Stadium, shout out to KOR. So much people with fly shit going on. Free niggas. They got a movement going on. Support them. I'm here to support. You know everybody. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this platform is here for. You know what I'm saying? So neighborhood kitchen, Zaz restaurant, wings and tings. Shout out to my nigga Mick. Just opened up a restaurant, gourmet wings. You know what I'm saying? So I'm supporting all my niggas, man. Whether I know you or not, I'm still gonna support you 100%. So this is gonna be a dope episode. There's opportunity in chaos. A lot of niggas been taking advantage of the pandemic. Make sure y'all saving y'all chicken up for a rainy day, especially when outside open up again. So y'all niggas be ready, man. And I don't even think I can drink tequila no more, man. I'm gonna have to fuck with some Henny XO because y'all niggas is just fucking the game up, man. But you already know it's Woody season, man, and we back. It's Woody season. We're back with another episode, man. This is a real special episode that we have today. A lot's going on in the world. I hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy. The coronavirus is not over yet, so don't be fooled, okay? Like, I don't think it ever left. It ever went anywhere, so make sure y'all got your mask still. I know everybody wants a second stimulus, but the way the world's been going on, that shit is canceled. I think they regret even giving niggas some money.
The first one?
Yeah. There's no more 1942s. Niggas gotta drink fucking Blanco, Reposado, and Neho, because we've been acting a fool out here in these streets, man. But we got a special guest with us today to talk about some heavy topics. This guy right here, I admire this guy. Look up to this dude right here. He's from our city. He's doing a lot of great things, man. We got Dr. Rufus with us, man. Hand clap for my guy, man. Appreciate
Thanks
you
for
being
having me,
here,
man. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
I love the hoodie too, man. The hoodie's
on my
dope.
team, man.
Yeah.
On my team, gotta represent the neighborhood.
Yeah, man. Free niggas. You already know the movement, man. Shoot the music. You already know.
This is our third time, man. So it feels good, man. Thanks for welcoming me back.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks
I love to have you
me.
on my platform, man. And a lot's been going on, brother.
Absolutely.
A lot's been going on in the world.
Absolutely.
Race issues. The race is becoming a topic every day now. Before we get into this topic about race, I want you to tell us about your upbringing, where you grew up, and where you from.
So I can't let that what you just said just go by. So race has been the topic of discussion in this country since this country was formulated. This country was based on the separation of white versus everybody else. So that is the foundation of this country, right? So what we're seeing now, what we're seeing currently is just a continuation of what we've been seeing. The mistreatment of black people by a system that was designed to destroy black people. So this is just the latest incarnation, and luckily enough for us, we have cameras to document it because this stuff's been happening to us for far too long. So I'm born and raised in this city, Roxbury to be exact. My parents were teenagers when they had me. My mother from Mission Hill, my father from Cathedral. My father was the 7th of 15. My mother, the youngest of 5. Crazy, like next week is going to be their 38th wedding anniversary.
That's dope.
So them being
Shout out to
them being married, them thugging it out as teenagers, raising 2 kids in Roxbury, the reason why I'm still here today.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a BPS kid.
What schools you went to? BPS.
So I went to 3 different elementary schools. I went to the Trotter, Beethoven, and the Bates.
Okay.
I had to go to so many different schools because I had tested into the advanced work class program.
Okay.
And that's like the precursor to examination schools.
Mm-hmm.
And no elementary school in Roxbury offered advanced work class.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to
you
schools.
always been a smart nigga.
I always been able to test well. I've been able to put my words together for a while. So yeah, from there I went to the King. From the King, I went to Latin Academy.
King was a horrible school.
Yo, when I was there, it was like the first day I was there was a fight in the cafeteria the first day. I'm in there with my JW outfit on because I had the vest on, the nice pants. I'm looking real R&B smooth.
Yeah.
They in there fighting for real, cuz.
Yeah.
Like fighting in blood. I said, okay, this is a different
different type of environment. I went to the Thompson, so I think the King might be worse than the Thompson. Like, Thompson was we had metal detectors in the Thompson.
So you got to figure. So when I'm going to the King, this is 93. And
different times.
King is literally in the middle of probably 7 different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So you got Fayston, Innervale, Columbia Road, Magnolia, Columbia, like everybody little in Brunswick, everybody's in that little vicinity, all going to this one school. So we had a lot of issues, but even in there, it was still a community. I still talk to some of my folks that went to the King with me. From the King, I went to Latin Academy for 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade. 9th grade, they tried to keep me back. So I switched schools without telling my parents until I had to do an interview with one of the nuns at North Cambridge Catholics. I was all plugged in until they said they need to have a little parent.
I went to North Cambridge Catholic,
so
I got kicked out.
Fam.
I got kicked out, but it's all. They gave me 1 year at least.
There you go. That's all you needed.
They gave me 1 year. That's all I needed.
And look what that 1 year did for you,
guys. Did a lot. Changed my life.
So then from there, I went to Temple. Temple, came back home. Then I went to BU to get my master's, and I just finished my doctorate at Northeastern in
Oh, that's
December.
super dope.
So I'm a city employee. I'm the director of public safety for the mayor's office. I'm a father, a Roxbury guy, and I'm just trying to give back as much as possible, bro.
That's why I'm happy that you're here with us, man, telling your story. I know you was diving into politics for a little bit. Tell us about your experience and how was that?
It was so I jumped into politics because I realized that there was rarely any people from our experiences making policy or making decisions for us for our neighborhood. So they were making decisions about public education, but none of them went to public education. They're having conversations around violence prevention, but none of them know what it's like to walk down the street and have a certain hat on and somebody ask you where you from.
Yeah.
So they didn't have the context. So that's why I said, okay, that's what made me go back to school, but also made me want to jump into politics because if you don't have context making policy, you making everything with the best intentions, but it's not hitting the mark.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be that person, especially for my neighborhood. My neighborhood gets a shoulder under the stick all the time. So I jumped into it, ran for state rep, ran for city council. It was a thankless position, a thankless job because you're doing it, and then you got folks questioning your credentials just simply because you're from the neighborhood that you're trying to serve.
Yeah.
Like if you're too accessible and you're too tangible, folks think that something's wrong with you because we have this idea on what an elected official is. Oh, I can't see you going to Joe's. You can't go to Joe's to be my city councilor.
Yeah.
You're too accessible. I go to Joe's. Something must be wrong with. Or you went to the King with my sister. I know you. You can't. So it's like, how do you balance that? I think Boston, we have a real love affair with people from out of town. We love out of towners coming here to show us what to do, but we don't really support our homegrown products.
But I think that's an advantage that you know the guys and you're so involved in the community because you grew up in this community. I think it's an advantage, and I think they should want somebody like you. I would want somebody like you in the community.
Ideally. So prior to me running, folks would call me for everything. So if they had an issue with their grandchild needing a job, and an issue around public safety or whatever the issues were, I was usually the go-to person that a lot of people would call. But when I was running for office, I think people made a disconnect that the stuff that you were calling me before when I didn't have the job, but that's who you should be calling your city council for.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I'm applying for this job, folks were questioning if I had the credentials to do the job. So you would call me for an issue when I wasn't in office, but the fact that I'm trying to run for office, you're questioning if I can do the job that you called me for 2 years prior. So there was I think there's just it's a lack of understanding about what civics is and what civic engagement is. Like it's really difficult for folks to know the difference between an at-large city council and your state rep, or state senator versus your U.S. senator, and what their roles and responsibilities are. Because we have this idea like they're celebrities versus them being public servants. Like they're supposed to be public servants.
They're supposed to help us.
They're supposed to be present, visible, not just when they want your vote, but all the time. You know what I'm saying? But we got to hold them accountable for that, and we don't do that.
I feel like voting is something that, because of this pandemic, we had more time to sit, reflect, especially with everything that's going on. R.I.P. George Floyd.
Absolutely.
Seeing that 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah.
A white police officer having a knee on somebody's neck,
Yep.
and this man's asking for his mother, grasping for air.
Yeah.
Us seeing that, it hit different during the pandemic because everybody's home.
Yep.
It's not like the world is open and everybody's out and about and
You
people's
can't
having
watch
a
a
good
basketball
time.
game and forget about
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
So now we're facing these harsh realities, like you say, are being documented. That's been documented.
Yep.
Now we're paying closely attention to it.
Yeah.
More close attention to it. So I say that to say now black people becoming more aware. I'm becoming more aware.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about voting.
Yeah.
I haven't voted since 2008 when Obama was in office.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the polls since.
Yeah.
So now I'm part of the issue.
Yeah.
I'm part of the problem too. Like I complain, I say all these things, but it starts with the vote.
It starts with the vote.
That's the process.
And I think we have to do a better job at explaining. I think our folks think that voting, you vote day one, that you're going to see the result day two. That's not how it works, yo. Voting is important because it has an opportunity for us to shift power and shift the folks in power. So we're talking about the brother George Floyd, R.I.P. Previously, the DA of that county was taking over the case. The DA was sort of not really trying to charge the officers and ended up charging the officers with a
and
charge.
the DA is African American?
The DA was not African American.
Okay.
so the point I'm bringing it up is that now that the attorney general of the state, who was Keith Ellison, who was an elected position, who is a brother, who is from that experience,
Okay.
he took over the case, and him taking over the case he now charged all four of the officers, and he also upgraded the charges for the officer who actually killed George Floyd.
Yeah, to second degree.
So he's somebody who was in an elected position. Folks voted him in, and we were able to get a result that, again, it's not going to bring George back, but it's an opportunity for us to get some semblance of justice, because we know that all four officers involved, or at least have now all been charged. And that wouldn't have happened if Keith Ellison wasn't in that position.
Yes.
And then he was elected to that position. So I think, especially locally, we talk about all these local elections that folks aren't really engaged in. City council, you're talking about your state reps, your state senators. Like, these are the folks that impact our daily lives. And especially if we talk about black people, we're the ones most dependent on a healthy municipal and state government. We're the ones sending our kids to public schools, or needing housing assistance, or need
Health
some other
insurance.
health. Like, though a lot of these issues are governed by legislation, and we're the least likely to be engaged in the process, but we're the ones most dependent on it. So we have to get engaged all the time.
We're so caught up in mainstream media where all we know is voting for
For
every 4
presidential,
years,
yeah.
voting for a president,
Yeah.
because that's what's highlighted to
Yeah.
us. And that's when we run to the polls.
Yeah.
So the stuff that you're saying, the community-based stuff, the senators, the mayors,
Yeah.
the city councils, and, even who's running the school boards and systems like that. Those are the things that we need to be aware of and more
District
involved
attorney,
in.
like,
District,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
that's
Absolutely.
big.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the George Floyd
Yeah.
situation.
Breonna Taylor, R.I.P. man.
R.I.P. It's been so many people.
Shaw Brooks, man, R.I.P.
R.I.P.,
man. It's like
man.
it's a never-ending group of hashtags, bro. And it's like it's. I watched Dave Chappelle's his series, and it was literally, he encapsulated all of my feelings,
Yeah.
like, of just frustrating, anger, and also recognizing that it wasn't just about George, it's about every situation.
Yeah.
I'm still mad. It's about Emmett Till. It's
Yeah.
about every sort of miscarriage of justice that's been impacted or inflicted on black people. It's like, it comes to the point where you're just at the boiling point. You just gotta scream, and it's to the point where, what's the next step? Because I think what we're seeing now, these uprisings that we're seeing now, are essential. But what's the next step? Because I think we got an opportunity to reclaim a lot of the stuff that we lost, but it has to be around organization. It can't just be around anger. We got to strategize. We got to make sure, like, Huey P. was always talking about organizing and strategizing. We can have all the anger
Huey P.,
and
Black
aggression.
Panthers.
Absolutely. Dr. Huey P. Newton, you know what I'm saying? Like, Huey, he knew that it wasn't just about having that sort of will to fight. You got to know how to fight and know
Absolutely.
where to fight. And especially in our city, where can we fight where we can have some gains? It's around organizing. It's around, how do we get through these divisions where we got black people, because you speak French and I speak Spanish, we think we separate from what black Americans are going through.
we are the
Like,
same.
how do we sort of close those divisions so we can say we're all under the same boot? How do we recognize that we can sort of go the same path and sort of pool our resources together to have some real change? So my hope is that George, like how Emmett was before him, Breonna, that their deaths are not going to be in vain. And how do we sort of build upon that for some momentum, for some real sustainable change? Because I don't want my kids to have to fight for this. Like, I don't want my daughter to be having to be the one marching, yo.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm 32 years
Mm-hmm.
old, right? 32 years of age. And before I was born, racism exists.
Mm-hmm.
Slavery already occurred. Civil rights, all this already happened.
Yeah,
So I was born in 1987,
yeah,
and police brutality was already going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2020.
Yeah.
It's been 32 years. People are still marching. People are still protesting about the same issues.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at it like, 32 years of my life, I've been seeing the same things. I'm a grown ass man, and
Yeah.
I finally went to my first protest.
yeah.
Are my kids gonna protest? I don't have any kids, by the way, ladies, but
Come on,
But I'm
fam.
saying in the future, if I do have kids,
Yeah,
are they gonna have to deal with these same issues? Because we talk about change,
yeah,
there hasn't been none. George Floyd happened,
yeah,
and then we had the situation in Atlanta
Yeah.
with another black man unarmed.
yeah.
Even though he was stopping for drinking
Yep.
and he was
Intoxication.
intoxicated and
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
but he runs away and he gets killed.
Yeah.
So you would think, even with this going on, that the police would be like, you know what?
Let me chill out.
We can't kill no more. Like, national attention's on us. We can't
Yeah.
kill no more brothers.
Yeah.
With all this going on, we are still being victimized. We are still being murdered by police. So
Yeah.
what change or what process are we really talking about? And another thing too, the frustration is, we have to be out there. We have to be out there. We have to advocate voting, and we have to change, and we have to go hit the polls.
Yeah.
But we're like, yo, we're dying on TV, and this shit's still going on.
Yeah.
Why the fuck should we vote?
Yeah.
Does our vote really count?
So the short answer is yes, your vote does count. Your vote definitely does count, but we can't expect voting to be the cure-all for everything. Because like you said, black people have been voting for as long as we could vote, right? That has always been the process. We've always been engaged in the whole electoral process. But it has to be an inside and outside strategy. It has to be, okay, we're going to vote on this side, but we're going to organize on the outside. We have to make sure that those who commit these acts know that they're going to be held accountable, and they know knowing that we're going to hold them accountable by keeping the people who are their employers accountable. So that is the person. If it's a issue around police, we know, okay, there's a police commissioner, but we know the police commissioner is picked by the mayor, and we can decide who the mayor is going to be. We can put pressure on our city councils to say, we need you to make sure you're holding stuff accountable. You're putting stuff on the legislation to make sure things like this, if they do happen, that we can get a remedy for it. But more importantly, we need to make sure preventatively that we're not having these same group of officers who we know have these sort of issues with black people. Like, how are they passing these background checks? How am I finding out about so many officers who are a part of white supremacist groups online?
Oh, yeah.
Like how are you able to get, like, what questions are we asking in the training process or the sort of recruitment process that they're able to skate by? So these are the questions we have to start asking. But I feel you, like the frustration that we feel in 2020 is the same frustration folks were feeling in the 60s. Same frustration.
We're still fighting the same fight.
Fighting the same fight. We're fighting it differently, but I think we have to figure out as a people, what more do we want? What real conversations are we willing to have? If the question is going to be around how are we going to be able to protect one another, protect our communities, and protect our loved ones, how are we going to do so? And how do we, because there has to be a level of accountability where we're holding the system accountable, but we can't expect the system that literally has been trying to kill us for 300 years to save us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't expect municipal government to save black people, because that's never what it's been designed for. But all we need them to do is be accountable to what they give every other citizen. But on the other hand, we are making sure that we're keeping each other safe and we're protecting one another. Like, that's what we have to get to.
So I want to talk to you about policing our communities,
Yeah.
right? We have these police officers who don't even live in our community, don't reside in our community, don't know who you are, you know, and you're a prominent figure in our community, and they live in other areas, fucking Denver's, Mass, and all these other places, right? And they come here to police us.
Yeah.
That's an issue. You know, like that we having people not from the community trying to enforce laws in our community and protect and serve. And I feel like that's part of the problem. And like you said, we need real good background checks, because you're not going to hire an okay pilot, an pilot to fly you in the air. So when police officer said, oh, he's all right, he's not a bad guy, like, what the fuck? It's either you're a good cop.
Yeah.
There should be no bad cops.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be that, you know, that rotten apple. That shouldn't happen on a police force. Like, that shouldn't be tolerated.
Yeah.
So that is a serious issue when it comes to policing. So I don't know what they're going to do about the training and how they train. These guys need psych evaluations.
But that's the accountability piece that we're talking
Therapy.
about. Like, that's where the way that system is changed is by having the folks who are the higher ups having influence, and us making a demand saying, now, these are our priorities. If you're not going to follow through with these priorities, we're going to vote you out, because this is what we need to have happen moving forward. So if we want to say that we want to make sure that these certain sort of psych eval issues, or we need to make sure that we have a certain percentage of, if you want to be a cop in Roxbury, we need to make sure we have at least 30% of the cops are from Roxbury. Like whatever, I'm just throwing that number out there.
Yeah.
But if those are our demands as voters or as taxpayers, that's where we hold our elected officials to live up to that. That's which is why we got to be engaged in the process, which is why we have to organize. If we organize, imagine if you can get your own voter block of 500 people. All you need 500 people could swing any election in Boston. 500
Yeah.
votes. So if you had 500 people say, yo, we're not voting for anyone who doesn't abide by these 3 tenets right here, and you would force whoever wants to represent you to either say we sign on to this or we don't, and then you could take your 500 voters and say, okay, this is our candidate. This is who we are supporting. We don't do a good enough job at that. We don't move collectively to really decide who's going to be our leadership. We let other people tell us who our leaders are, which is crazy.
The news been portraying a lot of looting going on. They've been showing that, advertising that. I feel like the media been actually, putting that energy out there where it feels like you can't have a protest without looting. Because there's 3 different people at the at protests. You have the protesters, you have the people who's gonna riot, you have the looters. Now, I never seen this before. In Boston, what happened in Boston with the whole looting on Newberry, it was a movie.
It was a movie?
That shit was a movie. I actually went to, this is my first protest, so the George Floyd, R.I.P. I went to the protest. It was in Roxbury, went all the way to State House.
Yeah.
You got to be in shape for this shit. You know what I'm saying?
You got to get your walking shoes.
You got
all the little fancy designer joints you wear. You can't wear those for the walk.
You got to be in shape for that.
They get you a pair of Asics or something.
So this is my first time really outside. Like I come outside, you know what I'm saying, to get some food and I'm working out. But I'm around hundreds of people.
Yeah.
It felt like Memorial Day weekend. Like bitches that look like fours in real life are looking like solid 8s out there. Like it was crazy out there, So that was my first protest experience, which was, pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see all, the rowdiness and all that, but I ain't gonna lie, the white people, they were more upset than me at police officers. I seen white dudes saying, that's why your wife don't fuck you, this and that. And I'm looking at white dudes like, yo, you could talk like that to police? So I seen a lot of white people doing the vandalism, the spray painting. But the narrative changes at night because when the looting happens, even though white people are involved in the looting, they're gonna show a lot of brothers and people taking advantage.
Like your man with the top 10s.
Top 10.
Okay.
That was
your
crazy.
Man with the
He's
blue
famous.
Top 10s.
He's always gonna be
Common
famous.
Square's finest.
He really wanted those though. He really wanted those.
Clearly,
he could have got anything else. He wanted those.
That man
joints.
risked his freedom
for that.
for a pair of blue top 10s that he could have got from Alpha Omegas down Delhi.
Which is crazy. And I know when he went back to the hood, niggas was killing him. But we got the whole.
But narrative's important. Like the part you're talking about is critical. It's like perception and narrative.
Yeah.
The media has the ability to create the perception, which then creates a narrative. The perception of black men is that we are angry, we are violent. So you put that out there enough, that becomes the way everybody views us. So unfortunately now, when everybody, like you said, riots have become synonymous with looting, which those two things they try to make protest, riots, and individual looting all the same thing. We all know those things are totally different.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So, but if you put that narrative out there, that becomes fact. So how do we get to the point of saying that protesting has been a part of America since before America was even a thing, even thought of? What created this institution of we call America was a protest. You know what I'm saying? Was Crispus Attucks, a black man, indigenous to this country, being killed, them protesting the rule of the monarchs in England. Like that is what created this country. But,
of course.
But when it comes to people like us protesting, then they try to slander the way in which we do so. You got to remember, we got to be clear. A week before George Floyd happened, people were protesting having to wear masks, and they were bringing AK-47s to the State House.
Absolutely.
They were not personified or perceived to be as violent.
Mm-hmm. Majority white people.
I didn't hear nothing about a violent takeover. I didn't hear nothing about a riot, or they were calling them peaceful protesters, even though they were yelling, screaming in the faces of police officers holding semi-automatic weapons.
They call that shit a gathering.
So imagine, yet you fast forward a week, those same peaceful protesters who were in Minnesota protesting the murder of a black man were being perceived and sort of portrayed as being violent. That's what the media does, man. Bro, I just watched a short video clip on Wilmington, North Carolina. Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898 was sort of the precursor for Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. This was a thriving black city where they had elected officials, lawyers, doctors, everything, right? The white folks who were living in North Carolina hated that. They were the Democrats, which was the precursor to they were sort of filtered off the Klan and everything like that. So that was really the Klan leadership. So they were so upset about how prosperous they were doing. They were in the newspaper every day talking about they want to rid North Carolina of black rule, saying that black men just only wanted to rape and murder white women, to the point where that the coalition that they were building around sort of power was sort of undercut by them putting 2,000 white armed people in front of the polls so black people couldn't vote. They burnt down the town, burnt down the black newspaper, burnt down the town, and undercut and just got rid of that entire power base because they were upset around the idea of black people being in leadership. Mm-hmm. And they put out this narrative that black people are violent, black men only want to rape white women, and it would be dangerous if black people were going to be in leadership. Yep. So that became the narrative that everybody, so it became fact. So they said, okay, if they're going to be violent, we might as well get to them first before they get us. Yeah. And we put that narrative out there, and that's where we got undercut by it. And that's how they got harmed by it. But 1898, Wilmington, North Carolina, forgive me. Just do yourself a favor and Google that, because you're going to see that story. You're going to see it's the same thing that happened in Black Wall Street, same thing that happened in Harlem, same thing that happened in Rosewood, same thing that happened in a number of independent black cities that we had. So narratives important. That's why shows like this, which is why I jokingly say with you all the time, is like you're a part of this idea of black excellence. Like you're super smart. You have things to say. How do you use your platform to push these conversations forward? Because this is how we sort of combat perception and narrative that the mainstream media is creating by being able to have these conversations.
Because, like I said, I went to the protest. I came home. I seen the looting. They zooming in on license plates. Yep. They're doing the most. Yep. And you got to understand, niggas haven't been working, right? And in chaos, there's opportunity. Yep. Some niggas never been to Ricardi's. That's a fact. Some niggas never was able to shop at Saks. Yep. I'm not saying condoning. I'm not condoning looting, but I understand it. I understand the energy.
I understand poverty.
I understand it too. I come from that.
Poverty makes you move
differently. Broke nigga energy is different. You know what I'm saying? And we all been broke before. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So It's like, I'm still broke. Fuck am I talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't out there, you know what I'm saying? But if I see somebody look like me.
48 yourself,
I wasn't out there.
You was about to tell somebody give him a Pepsi. He about to tell on himself real quick.
You got to understand that niggas is coming from nothing. Yeah. Especially, certain dudes is like, yo, this is my opportunity.
It's my opportunity to come up. But that's also our fault too, because we create a perception that you ain't ill unless you got some European stuff on.
Well, true.
We helped create that. But listen, I'm not crying for none of them businesses.
I ain't crying for them too. But like, I see businesses mad, but I'm like, I ain't mad at the nigga who wants some Amary's. That's what they lady like. I'm pretty sure their lady done cheated on niggas who's wearing Amary jeans, Givenchy shirts.
You're terrible, yo.
Nigga, I'm trying to look like the nigga you cheated on me with. So I'm gonna go get mine.
Yo, you are the worst.
So I'm not mad. Yeah. I'm not mad at niggas.
But I think,
shout out to the looters, man.
But what COVID-19 also did is show that the stuff that we put a value in don't even matter. Yo, bro, I wore probably the same 3 sweatpants for 3 months, yo.
Honestly, that's the realest shit. You said a lot of real shit, but that's something that's super real.
The stuff that we put value, like
things that we think are essential.
I never knew how much I value just simply being able to pull up on my moms, yo. Yeah. Being able to talk to my parents, or be able to connect with my homeboys, or be out playing with my daughter. She don't gotta wear a mask, bro. Yeah. The subtle things that we took for granted have become so much more valuable now. Like being able to take a walk in the park, bro. Like those things that we didn't have access to. What I'm hoping is that it's just not a short term thing, yo. We really put value in those things that really mean stuff, dog. Because all the fly call, yo, I got a closet full of fly stuff that I didn't wear, and it don't care to wear. Like it don't even matter.
And it makes you realize that what is really essential.
There you go.
You know, what do you really
Who's
need to
really essential
survive?
too?
Yeah,
And
the
who's
people.
essential?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like, who really is essential to you in life? You know what I'm saying? And the people that during the coronavirus, there's certain people that your parents, your family members that you wanted to see. There's certain friends that you wanted to see, and there's certain people that now you realize I don't even need you in my life. You
You
know,
went 2 months without talking to
yeah,
him. You're like, I ain't missed nothing.
I ain't missed nothing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
actually, I feel like it makes us more. Like I said, I've been talking about awareness.
Yeah.
Now, how do we spend our money?
Yeah.
You know what we spend our money on.
Yeah.
You know, we spend our money on designers and all these things, but these are things that we don't need to survive. And it's making us more conscious of supporting our own Black businesses. So it's like that's something that I'm working on. That's why on my podcast I've said, if you're a Black business owner,
Yeah.
minority business owner, I
Yeah.
will promote you for free of
Can we
charge.
stop saying minority? Two things. I need Black people to stop referring to themselves as people of color and minorities, right? I'm not trying to preach,
Educate
but
me.
I'm just gonna give us just something real quick. What makes somebody white? Who's white? If I say describe to me who a white person is, who are the ethnicities that make up white people to you?
I'm going off the color of their skin.
You're going off the color of skin. So,
Yeah, their pigment.
So going off the pigment. So traditionally, people who have been classified as white are folks who come from Ireland, folks who come from France, Germany, folks who may come from just certain European countries or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
European descent. Yeah, I would say
Absolutely.
they're white too.
Every one of those countries, speak a different language. If you're German and Italian, you don't speak the same language. Or you're Polish, you come here, you guys don't speak English. But yet when you come here, you morph into this one group of white, right? But you can come from Haiti. My folks come from Virginia. Your folks may come from Cape Verde. His folks may come from Dominican Republic. We're going to be classified as 5 different things.
Yeah.
Because they recognize there's power in numbers, right? We've allowed them to separate us to the point where we don't have any power group, yet it's the same things that they say separate us or the same thing that separate them, but they come here and form into this one power group.
Sure.
Right? Because you might speak French, your family might speak French, his family might speak Portuguese Creole, my family speak English, his family speaks Spanish. But when we come here, we're viewed in one lens as Black people, right? But yet we're not able to move as such. But these folks who classify themselves as white come from the same sort of separate cultural background, same ethnicity,
And they're able to move as one.
and they're able to come here recognizing that there's a sort of power in numbers. We haven't been able to do that. I only say that to say that we're not the minority. And if minority wasn't a sort of a slur or something negative, they wouldn't have terms like majority minority,
Yeah.
which is an oxymoron. How can it be majority minority? That doesn't make any sense. What context are you doing it? Are you doing it? What scale are you using it? By the city, by the state, by the nation, by the continent, by the region? Like, how are you scaling it? Because they know that it has a negative connotation to it. When you say, oh, that's a minority neighborhood, we subconsciously already think of what the attributes, in fact, and sort of what builds up and what makes up that community.
Yeah.
When people say it's a minority community, people usually say, oh, there's probably poverty there.
Yeah,
There's probably
disadvantage.
crime there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So minority becomes synonymous with disadvantage.
Yeah.
And same thing around people of color. Like, I don't want, like, that's too general. That's too broad for me. When I want to be specific around Black issues, I say Black people.
Yeah.
And when we say people of color, just 40 years ago, we were complaining about being called colored.
Yeah.
What's the difference between being colored and people of color? What's the difference? So we have to be able to define who we are and how we want to be framed and how we want to be phrased. And the term minority, just policy wise, is a way in which where Black people can get the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
You could say we want to make sure we have a certain amount of minority hires. That doesn't mean Black people who are descendants of Jim Crow and had to go through enslavement are going to reap the benefit of it. That means anybody who is non-white is going to reap the benefit of it.
And you're right when you say that, when you break it down, and you just educated me. That's why you're on this show. When I think about minority, it makes you it's like you know that you're disadvantaged. So it's like something
It's
that
subconscious.
subconscious.
And it eats away at you.
Yeah, so it's like
You feel like you a less minority means you're a less than.
yeah, you're less than, and you're at a disadvantage, and you know you got to cry for help, and you need help.
I was gonna write a book saying that minority is worse than nigga. That was gonna be the title of my book. Minority is worse than nigga. Because when you
deep.
say you're not gonna use nigger in policy. You're not gonna say we want to make sure that we have a certain amount of niggers who can get access to free housing.
You gonna use coded language.
What you're gonna say I want to make sure that we have enough minority housing. So that's even more insidious, right? Because that's subconscious. Like you could sneak that in and nobody would even know what you're really talking about. But you know what you're talking about.
That's why I'm happy you brought that up. Coded languages that these politicians and a lot of the people who are in power, even black people who are in power, who come from poverty and then now they're affluent and they felt like they make it and they get around certain people and they forget where they come from. We talk about that with, it's like we look at celebrities right now and I told you, everybody's paying attention.
Yeah.
Who are saying things that
sound crazy.
Yeah. Lil Wayne. I love Wayne as an artist. But I feel like we need to separate the artist and the person.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we look up to these celebrities like they're a voice for us and they're not a voice.
That's our brother Malcolm said we're the only people who allow entertainers and athletes to be black leaders. No other community has entertainers. We prop up entertainers and athletes as our leadership. Not saying that they can't be a part of the leadership movement, but we never look to rappers and basketball players. We're the only ones who do that. We're the only ones thinking Jay-Z is going to be the black leader.
Yeah.
But then which is wrong with that, which is the issue is that those people have fans. People are fans of Jay-Z. People are fans of LeBron. So when you're a fan of somebody, it's hard for you to be objective about that person. So if they do something that is sort of adverse to the community, people will defend it because they are fans of them.
Exactly.
And just because you are affluent or you dribble a ball well or you
great musician,
it doesn't mean that you are well versed in policy.
Exactly.
Like you can definitely be a part. Like, but I'm not saying don't be a part of the movement. Yes, but as a community, we can no longer prop them up to be our leadership. Because that means we got to prop up all of them.
Yeah.
So for every LeBron, you're gonna get a Dwayne Carter.
Yeah.
With the crazy locks in his head, looking like a nut, talking
crazy,
talking ridiculous,
talking about white privilege, like he's part of white privilege.
You know what I'm saying? So because he's forgotten where he's come from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you from the projects, cuz.
Yeah.
Like you forgot that?
Yeah.
But that's on us because we have to be more intentional about who we're saying it should be a part of that decision-making process. And this might get me in trouble. It ain't gonna get me in trouble. But I often say that, we the only ones looking for leaders, yo.
Yeah.
We don't need one person or people acting like they're the voice because that's gotten us in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you can pop a leader. If you pop a leader, then sometime the movement would die.
That's what happens.
And
Malcolm X, Martin Luther King.
But then when you're looking for a leader, I'm looking for Woody to be my leader. That takes accountability from me. Mm-hmm. That means that I don't got to make sure my block is good.
Yeah.
Because Woody's the leader. Mm-hmm. So I can put all of the onus and pressure on you versus saying I have a part in this to play also. So we need individuals who have expertise, but the idea of us needing leaders to lead us to the promised land, no, we don't need that. We need everybody doing their small part.
Everybody being accountable.
Everybody being accountable and doing their small part for the larger picture, yo. Because I might be able to lead in certain issues, but I could play the background and other stuff. When you prop up leaders, you expect them to lead on everything, even though they're not well versed in everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, I can't tell you about relationships or banking stuff. Mm-hmm. I can help you with papers and get in the pot. I can lead in those issues, but I'm not a leader in every issue.
Exactly.
And I know that. And I can support from the back. And oftentimes people feel like they want to be Michael Jackson every time because they want to be the lead singer. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to be Tito, cuz.
And I feel that, coming from where we come from, we're always looking for a voice.
Yeah.
And we look at these, like you said, we look at these celebrities. We look at them in a way that, we admire them. Mm-hmm. And
they should be admired.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they need to be fit. They're fit to be leaders.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. Another topic I want to talk to you about is black on black violence, right? Mm-hmm. Because the argument that the other side always makes, especially the protesters, you have the white Lives Matter movement, you have people protesting, and you have protesters protesting against a protest. I never
Yep.
seen this shit before.
Yep.
So you have All Lives Matters movement,
Yep.
and the counter argument is the fact that, all right, black people only go hysterical when a white man kills a white man kills a black person, or unarmed a cop kills an unarmed black man. That's when our community is enraged. That's when we in the uproar. That's when we want to tear shit down. But in Chicago, in one weekend, you got 1,000 people dying.
Yeah.
Why we not having the same energy for that?
That is so I think both can be true, right? I think that we definitely have to focus on as what we do to each other as black people. We have to address that, right? We have to make sure that we're not harming each other, murdering each other, killing each other. We have to make sure we have the same level of fight, the same level of attention to that. And I think that does happen. I've been to a number of conversations with a number of mothers, fathers who've lost children, been on a number of marches. Every year we have a Mother's Day Walk for Peace in the city of Boston, which is a daggone protest around gun violence happening in the hood. Every year we have it. Shout out to Lucy Brown Peace Institute. Every year they do it. So it's like there's never a lack of outrage. I think folks are traumatized by that too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the other issue is that oftentimes when we have these homicides, we don't know who did it. And we don't pay the streets to keep us safe.
You're right about that.
It's a different level of accountability.
It is.
So when we are paying tax dollars to the state, the expectation is not that the state's going to kill us. And then we also know if I kill somebody and I get caught, I'm getting smoked 9 times out of 10. I'm going to jail. We've seen instances where the state has killed unarmed, and I hate the idea too about unarmed versus armed. Simply being armed is not a death sentence as well.
It's not.
So I know we like to highlight the unarmed fact because that shows, okay, this person wasn't even a threat at all. But simply having a gun does not mean that you're going to be able to be shot as well. We've seen instances where they can de-escalate individuals. There was just an incident in Atlanta where there was a white kid, I forgot his name, literally maybe a week ago, took shots at the police in Atlanta.
He was able to, he's alive today, I bet.
He shot at them. They shot back. He ran into the woods, was hiding in the woods. Then he was able to give himself up, and they didn't fire one shot at him. So they can de-escalate.
Yeah.
It's about a willingness to do so. So simply being armed is not a death sentence. So let's make sure, like, when we're having this narrative, let's make sure we also highlight on the fact that if you have a gun on you, that doesn't mean that you're an automatic threat. Are you aiming at them? Are you firing at them? That's a threat. Simply having a gun on you does not make you a threat to them. So, but again, there's
Or a cell phone or a wallet.
There's a different level of accountability from tax dollars being paid to the state to protect you versus our sort of individual contract we have in the community. And I think we can do both. We can be outraged around when a little homie gets killed in the neighborhood by another little homie. We are outraged. We're out there in the streets.
Of course.
But then we can equally be outraged when the state kills us as well. We can do both.
Yeah. And I think...
But I want to just get on this point. The folks who bring that up, the All Lives Matter crew, they don't care about Black lives, period.
Yeah.
Because if they did, or cared about lives that aren't white lives, or just in terms of when they bring up Chicago, if Chicago was a concern for them, they would be on the ground in Chicago being helpful. So
real.
if you were concerned about the myth of black on black crime, if you were concerned about that, what are you doing to be helpful? Are you just mentioning it just sort of to be a distraction? Because that's what it feels like to me. It's just a distraction. Because if it's about all lives, why aren't you fighting for those Spanish speaking brothers and sisters who are in those ICE detention centers? Why aren't you fighting for them? Why aren't you fighting for Black lives?
Yeah.
If all lives matter, why aren't you fighting for Black lives? Because that should be a part of the process. But we recognize it's just a distraction.
It is a distraction.
That's all it is. They want to take us away from the issue, but we're not going to allow them to do so.
Because they want to make it, if we're talking about all lives matter, it's a humanity thing.
Yeah.
And if we really care about people,
Yeah.
then the focus should be on these Black lives that are dying at a disproportionate rate in the hands of police officers, white, Black. You have a badge, you're all the same to me.
Yeah.
Because they all have the same ideology. So when that argument happens to me, it's like, I know if me and you get in a situation and I smoke you, it's not gonna start at third degree murder. I'm not gonna be lucky to get second degree. Maybe if I have rosemary, I might be lucky if I got a bag and I'm able to get the top notch
Yep.
lawyer.
Yep.
But a cop who kills like you said, I'm bringing it down to where the guy is not even a threat, and he still gets murdered, and the police officer gets charged with third degree murder, and we're happy, we're satisfied that he just got second degree.
Yeah.
But we know with brothers, if I kill you, and I get caught for what I done,
Yeah.
I'm getting smoked.
Yeah.
I'm getting life
Yeah.
without parole.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Level of accountability.
Yeah, there's a difference
Yeah.
of accountability when a black man commits a crime
Yeah.
and a white man commits a crime. That's the issue.
Yeah, I get it.
So what life really matters? Because the penalties are different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so I don't even give them any of my energy. I'm not going back and forth on social media. I'm not arguing with nobody about they want to argue. Okay, God bless you, because I'm not giving that. I know when it comes down to the come down, you ain't on my side anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to convince you. Like that was sort of my issue. I love the energy around Black Lives Matter, but my issue is I'm not begging or professing someone to view my humanity, yo. I'm not saying, who am I saying Black Lives Matter to? The system that's trying to destroy me? Like, if they weren't convinced of my humanity my whole 38 years of my life, like what am I going to do now that's going to change their outlook or perspective on me? We can't afford to waste time trying to express and show our humanity to folks who want to see us killed. That can't be what we're giving all of our energy to. You know what I'm saying? So, because they're not going to recognize if they're not outraged about George Floyd getting his life snuffed out in broad daylight in front of everybody, if they can't see why we say Black Lives Matter after that, there's no point, there's no rationalization that you can have a conversation with them. So that you're wasting your energy, wasting your time. Our focus has to be, how do we preserve and protect Black life, bro? How do we make sure that we're fortified enough that we can organize and get ourselves in a situation where we can thrive in the midst of this craziness, yo? Where we can hold folks accountable if things do get crazy, and when they're not getting crazy, we can build up in the process, yo. Because I'm not doing all that, see my humanity, and I'm not doing none of that, yo. I'm not wasting my energy or time on that, and I just caution folks who are doing that. Be careful about who you are considering who your allies are, because it could be an ally out of convenience, or it could be an ally who's really trying to tear down the system. Like, John Brown's an ally, yo. Like, folks, Google John Brown and Google Harper's Ferry, yo. Like, John Brown was a white abolitionist during the time of enslavement who was trying to tear down the system. He wasn't trying to say, oh, we just want to make sure that your life as an enslaved person is valued and viewed. He said, no, the only way it could be valued and viewed is if the entire system is collapsed. He was an ally. He was willing to put his livelihood and where his privilege was. He was willing to sacrifice that and tear down an entire system so we can rebuild anew, so everybody could be on the same equal plane. Like, that's an ally for me, yo. Hashtagging is cool, but are you really built on, because this is like historical. This is foundational. White supremacy is foundational to America. All of the founding fathers are white supremacists. So that means that the foundation of this country is racist. So if we're just trying to get to the point where we can be viewed and say we mattered, that's the bare minimum. Like, that's what we fighting for?
We never mattered.
Thank you. Like, so no, that can't be the fight. The fight got to be more than that. The fight got to say, no, we're fighting for our equal share. We're fighting for what we put in. Because I know, like, I can go back to 1785 with my family, free Black people living in Virginia. Like, we have sweat equity in this country. That's why when people say we're going to move, I'm like, no, I'm not going nowhere, cuz. Like, I got too many people to put time and energy and died over here, yo. So I need to make sure that my generation is the last generation that has to do this. And whatever we have to do to get to that point, we got to be willing to do so, man.
So, we're wrapping it up. I appreciate you being here, educating us. This conversation is something that, it needs to happen more often. Not just when George Floyd dies, not when, all these issues is happening. Sean Bell, these things, like I said, these issues been going.
His daughter just graduated from college, yo.
That's crazy.
That's how crazy life is, yo. His daughter just graduated from college, yo.
And we're losing all these Black men. you
and
know,
sisters. Shout out RP our
sisters.
sisters.
Yep, you know, Breonna
Sandra
Taylor.
Bland, know what I'm
You
saying?
know, and it's sad. It's sad, and honestly, it's traumatizing.
Absolutely.
And you kind of get numb to this shit. You know, the situation happened in Atlanta, and it's just like
Another one.
another
We
one.
already forgot about Ahmaud Arbery. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like we
Mark
gotta,
Arbery and Atlas,
you know what I'm saying?
it's crazy, and it's to the point where it's just like, what can we do? You know, and hopefully people listen to this podcast. You know, and we gotta hold these people accountable. We gotta know. We gotta be more aware. We gotta be more involved in our community. We gotta support each other. That's what I'm trying
And
to
we
do
don't gotta
better.
be. We don't. I think we're under this misconception that everybody gotta be best friends, yo. We don't gotta be best friends. I could not rock with you. I could not rock with you, but I don't want to see no harm to you. That's where we got to get to the point. I'm not asking us to be best friends and say we got to squash everything. I'm just saying let's get to the point where we are not actively trying to kill one another, yo.
Can't even step on a nigga's shoe these days.
Can we
man.
get to that point? Can we get it? Because that's how we can move things forward, like, and that's how we can at least get to a baseline of understanding and organizing and strategizing. We're at least at the point where I know, even though we're not the best friends, I know that you don't want to see harm done to me, and vice versa. You're confident in that also, and like these conversations have to happen more. And we have to hold externally, we got to hold folks accountable. We got to hold each other accountable and ourselves accountable also. Like we have to be the sort of, it's cliche, but we got to be the change that we want to see. If we want to make sure our communities are thriving, what can we do individually that can sort of help us move us to that point?
And my last question to you before we get off air is, why brothers have an issue seeing another brother win? See, when some niggas say like I want to see niggas win, but behind closed doors is fuck that nigga. I really want to see good niggas win. You know what I'm saying? Real good dudes out there who's doing their things and on some positive shit. And I really want to see niggas win. I feel like we have something. Like I said, it's trauma. We've been through
trauma,
a lot,
bro.
you know, and we have this self-hate, and that leads my self-hate for myself leads me to, because you look just like me.
That's
I
exactly
hate you
what it
too.
is.
So it's like
That's
something that we need to change. Also,
but we got to address it. We got to address what that is. We got to name what it is. And because you're right, I don't hate you.
Yeah.
I have issues with myself, and then I will just use the issues I have. Like you're sort of a personification of everything that I don't like about myself. Yo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're not my enemy, but because I can't do it to myself, I'm gonna do it to you. And as brothers, we got to get to the point where you winning is not an indictment on me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's oftentimes how brothers feel too. Like if you came from the same place I came from and you winning and I'm stuck in this position,
fuck that nigga.
everybody gonna look at me like, damn, why ain't you doing that?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, okay, if my brother can do it,
I can do
he
it.
can get in that position. Maybe he can show me or put me to some jewels too, so
Yeah.
I can elevate out of
Should
my
be motivation.
situation.
It should be motivation.
It should be, but also for brothers who have made it, we can't throw it in other brothers' faces
Yeah.
either. We
Yeah.
can't be like, oh, dog, I did it. Why can't you do it?
Yeah.
Like, dog,
Y'all still fucked up out there?
exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, like brothers was like, oh, you gotta, like brother said, oh yo, he got a doctorate. Like I'm doing it. I'm not doing it just for me.
Yeah.
I'm doing it that a kid who live on St. James or in the Joe or in OP or wherever you may
I
live
can
can
do it
say,
too.
yo, he's from the same experience but I'm not gonna leave it there though. I'm gonna say, if I can help, I want to help you get to that point. Because I know that I ain't get to wherever I'm at, wherever little area or place I'm in this sort of world. I didn't get here by myself. I had a lot of folks looking out for me. I was just on a call before we started with my homie. He's doing life, cuz. He's been in it for 20 years already. He's doing life, dog. Like, this is a guy who's the first kid from my neighborhood that went to college, dog. From the Berry, went to college. He's doing life, my
Free
man.
niggas.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a conversation like I told him again, it was like those conversations he had with me when I was 14, 15, trying to be out there on the block. He's like, yo, nah, get out of here, yo. And me seeing him go to college, I'm like, yo, he went to
Inspiring.
college, yo?
It's motivation.
It was possible.
Yeah, it's
I never
possible.
seen nobody from my neighborhood go. My parents didn't go to college. They were teenagers. They couldn't go to college. Yo. He was from my hood. He was actually one of the guys. Went to college, and he was an example. So how can those of us who have navigated the streets be examples for even our peers, but more importantly for the younger ones, yo? We do it by not throwing it in their face, yo. I tell folks all the time, ain't nothing about me super ill, cuz there were kids that was smarter than me, funnier than me, when I was growing up, they just didn't have access to the same opportunities that I had, yo. So it's my duty to make sure that I pull back and try to pull other folks to get to wherever they want to be at, bro.
I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
Definitely
you,
need this
God. Thanks for
convo.
having me, man.
Yeah, you know,
You
you're
know what
always
I'm
welcome
saying?
on the platform, man.
Appreciate you, brothers.
Anything
man.
else you got going on before I get off? I know you told me you're trying to write a book or anything you're
So I got
involved
some.
in.
I'm trying to really get more content and context out there, man. Book writing. I was talking to you about doing my own little podcast,
That's
man.
gonna
Being
be
able
dope.
to have more of these conversations.
Please invite me on your show.
Absolutely,
I want to get my shit off.
absolutely. But I think the more conversations we can have, the better. But then from conversations, how do we get to action steps? Because that's
Okay.
what I want to get to. Like whatever conversations we have, if we're talking about how do we increase access to funding for small businesses, I want to make sure that I can give folks the game plan on how to do so. Because I don't want to just give folks what you need to do. Let me show you how to do it too. Yo.
That's
So,
dope. We need that.
more content, man. I'm trying to monetize these degrees, man.
Yeah, you definitely.
I don't plan on paying these student loans, man.
You might go to school again.
No. I'm trying to get that paid for, guys. I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? But I appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for having me, man.
You already know, Dr. Rufus, man. He's signing out, man. Woody season.